What if the system failed tomorrow? Most of the United States would collapse fast. But some states wouldn't. They wouldn't descend into chaos. They wouldn't open their borders. They wouldn't lose control. Instead, they would isolate, stabilize, and become fortresses. The reason has nothing to do with politics, luck, or preparation. It all comes down to geography, infrastructure, and access. In this video, you're going to see which U.S. states become fortresses when the system fails, why collapse spreads unevenly across the country, and how being in the wrong place at the wrong time could put you on the losing side of a system failure. This isn't just speculation. This is how infrastructure collapses actually work. And in a moment, you will see why some regions don't even need to control people, they only need to control access. Control comes from structure, not force. When systems fail, collapse doesn't move randomly. It follows the existing structure. Think about power grids, water systems, fuel corridors, and transportation routes. Where these systems are dense and interdependent, failure cascades incredibly fast. But where systems are simpler and more isolated, failure slows down. That's the first rule of collapse. Speed matters more than severity. And the regions that can slow collapse down gain something incredibly valuable: time. Time decides who adapts and who breaks. The states that become fortresses all share the same structural traits. They have fewer entry points. They sit behind natural barriers like mountains, vast distances, or harsh climates. They depend less on long, fragile supply chains. And crucially, they don't have to manage massive inflows of people. In these regions, control isn't enforced aggressively. It emerges naturally. Because when movement slows down, pressure drops. And when pressure drops, essential systems can keep functioning. This is where order survives, not because people behave better, but because the geography itself does most of the work. Now, let's look at where this actually happens. When you map this out, a clear pattern appears. States like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and parts of the upper Midwest don't collapse quickly. It's not because they're immune, but because they're hard to overwhelm. They have few major access routes, low population density, and they're far from major urban collapse zones. When systems fail elsewhere, these regions don't absorb the chaos, they deflect it. They don't need walls or mass enforcement. They simply limit the flow of people and resources. And when movement is restricted, stability naturally follows. Now compare that to where collapse accelerates. Look at the opposite side of the map: high-density states, major transport hubs, and regions that depend on constant inflows of fuel, food, and power. When systems fail here, the pressure doesn't just decrease, it explodes outward. This isn't because people suddenly panic, but because the infrastructure itself overloads. Power grids fail, supply chains snap, and communication networks go dark. This is where order disappears first. It doesn't happen suddenly like in the movies, but predictably like a chain reaction, and timing is everything. In the first 72 hours, you'll see a massive spike in movement. Everyone with the means to leave will try to. This immediately clogs all the access points, highways become parking lots, and major routes become impassable. Within the first week, restrictions will appear. Authorities will try to regain control, leading to checkpoints, curfews, and travel bans. The window to move freely will slam shut. After 1 month, the difference between regions will be stark. Some areas will begin to stabilize, forming new, smaller systems of order. Others will never recover, descending into a state of permanent instability. By then, movement won't be a choice anymore. It will be a luxury most people can't afford. So, what does this actually mean for you? This isn't about spreading fear, and it's definitely not about predicting the end of the world. It's about understanding your position on the map. Because when systems fail, survival isn't random, it's geographic. Your location will determine your access to resources, your level of security, and ultimately, your chances of making it through. If you found this analysis useful, consider subscribing. This channel exists to show you where systems break, where they hold, and where survival becomes possible. Now, I want to ask you a question. If the system failed tomorrow, would you stay where you are, or would geography force you to move? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you for watching. This is 0 Hour Atlas. We don't predict doom. We map what survives.